I mean, there's nothing that him or his agent can give us from an information standpoint that would make sense that he has a diluted sample. All right. If what they're saying is true, that because he was working out at two positions and he was trying to hold on to water, drink a lot of water, then every sample, listen to me, every sample at the combine would have been diluted because every kid is trying to hold on to water. Their training staff has told them drink as much water as possible, and also when they get measured for their weight because they want to be bigger for the most part. So this is old news. We've done this for a long time. I exclude myself, but I used to work with companies that train kids for the combine. We've done it for over 15 years. We've had a lot of kids that have tested positive for marijuana. And what they're trying to do is, in the marijuana P test, they're testing for nanograms in there. So there's a legal and illegal over the limit. If you dilute the sample, you're hoping to get the nanograms down, that it's closer, that you could be like, well, this one wasn't a positive test.
So this whole chugging water thing is a game plan.
It's a game plan. Yeah, because your other game plan ran out of time between the space between when you were going to get tested again, which is at least for marijuana, you need at least a month, 4 weeks to get it out of your system for a urine test. Now, if Jabrill Peppers, I will challenge him and his agent to this, because this is what we do. If I was representing a client and he had this issue, I would tell him, okay, no problem. You took hair follicles from him, so now you can test him for years. You'll be able to see what drugs he's taken for years, or his blood sample, you can test that. So you'll be able to get at least the last 6 months in blood, which is better than urine. Hair follicles are the best DNA that you can have in trying to determine these types of things. I haven't heard any message from him or Reuben Foster's agent saying, you know something, you can test the blood, because that would clear it up immediately.
Okay, let's segue to a serious topic, an Ohio State player and an accusation in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My takeaway is I could get, if I draft you and it turns out to be true, you could be a suspended and expensive player. What should a team do with that young Ohio State player allegedly involved in a violent accusation?
Well, for one, the optics don't look good, and there's not a lot of time. He was in Philadelphia at the draft. He has been sent home. That was confirmed to me by a very, very reliable source. So the NFL has already put measures in place based on some of the investigative information. They have that, and they thought that that was significant enough that he shouldn't be at the draft. So for me, there's a little smoke there. I think that's where we should leave it. As a club, you're not going to have enough time to be able to do the intel. So I believe he's going to fall, and he's probably going to fall into the second round. And that's just without knowing and the timing and where we are as a society.
I mean, timing's everything in life.
Yes.
And finally, would you take the best player or the need? Value or need? Where do you fall on this?
In the NFL, there's not one theory, because there are certain players that you cannot pass them over. They are transitional players. They go beyond the measurables. They could change your franchise.
Right.
Now, I might need a right guard, but if I have a player that I believe is a once every decade, every 15-year player, I'm going to take that player. I'm going to utilize free agency and the draft, because the draft is not the only way to fill your roster.
Sure.
It's free agency and the draft to try to utilize to get your team fortified. Because also, you have to realize, for every need that you have, you don't fill in the draft, each one of your opposition, they know what your needs are. So your needs will get exploited if not filled in the draft or through free agency.
So it's a balance.
You have to have a balance. You can't go on one theory or the other. Life is not black. Life is not white. Life is a lot about the gray area. And in trying to decide, do I take the best player available? Yes, in certain instances. But because if you're in the second or third round, let's just get off the first round. and a player ranks so much higher than the other player.
Yeah.
Why would you take the player when your intel says this player is better? In the NFL, it's the best game, it's the best coaches and the best players. Coach, earn your money. Coach him up. Coach the guy up.
Also, if I had Ray Lewis in the draft, even if I have a linebacker, you can trade constantly. So I mean, if a guy comes, like to me, I've always been get me the best player. I can't say that because like you, listen, if I was desperate at left tackle, I'd have to eventually reach, wouldn't I?
Yeah, like this is the thing you have
like
to
the
get,
Rams, the
you
LA
have
Rams.
to feel like, do I reach for the tackle? Or if I got a bunch of good offensive players and I'm not going to be able to get them the ball, the reach at tackle is better because it's going to help me utilize the rest of the talent. See, Zeke was not a reach.
No.
He wasn't a reach. But because they had made such great decisions in the previous drafts, the Zeke thing was a no-brainer.